The Young and the Restless Spoilers Shock Wednesday Full Update News, August 28, 2024. The aftermath of the accident that left Faith Newman fighting for her life had unleashed a whirlwind of emotions among everyone involved, but none more intense than the turmoil brewing within Sharon. As the mother of the injured girl, Sharon was consumed by a cocktail of fear, grief, and anger, a potent mix that threatened to push her over the edge. Sharon had always been a loving mother, but the strain of seeing her daughter lying unconscious in a hospital bed, her life hanging by a thread, had shattered her composure. The more she thought about what had happened, the more her emotions spiraled out of control. It wasn't long before those feelings found a target: Lucy Romalotti. In Sharon's mind, Lucy was the reason Faith was in this terrible condition. The accident, the reckless decisions, the chaos. It all pointed back to Lucy. As these thoughts churned in her mind, Sharon's grief quickly morphed into rage. She convinced herself that Lucy was to blame, that the girl had put Faith in harm's way, and that she deserved to be punished for it. Unable to contain her anger any longer, Sharon stormed out of Faith's hospital room, determined to confront Lucy. Her hands shook with fury, her vision clouded by tears and resentment. The only thought echoing in her mind was that Lucy needed to be held accountable. She needed to pay for what she had done. But as Sharon reached Lucy's hospital room, her intentions took a dark turn. She wasn't just going to confront Lucy. She wanted to hurt her, to make her feel the same pain that she and her family were enduring. The idea of physically attacking Lucy consumed her, driven by the overwhelming need to lash out at someone, anyone, who could take the blame for her daughter's suffering. Fortunately, those close to Sharon intervened just in time. They recognized the danger in her eyes, the uncharacteristic rage that had taken hold of her. They held her back, stopping her from doing something she would surely regret. But even as they pulled her away, Sharon fought against them, screaming that Lucy was the reason Faith was in danger, that she deserved every ounce of anger Sharon felt. It was clear to those around her that Sharon was not herself. She was being manipulated, her mind twisted by the psychological grip that Cameron had on her. Cameron had always been a master manipulator. Now he had Sharon in his clutches, warping her thoughts and feeding her darkest fears. Under his influence, Sharon's ability to think clearly had been severely compromised. All she could see were the negative, the dark possibilities, and she was ready to act on them. Meanwhile, Daniel Romalotti and Heather Stevens, Lucy's parents, were on high alert. They knew that Sharon's outburst was not just a one-time incident. The look in her eyes had told them everything. They knew she would be back. They were prepared to do whatever it took to protect their daughter, understanding that Sharon, under the influence of Cameron, was unpredictable and dangerous. As they huddled around Lucy, comforting her as best they could, Daniel and Heather braced themselves for what might come next. They loved their daughter fiercely and would stand between her and anyone who tried to harm her, even if that person was a grieving mother who had lost her way. At the same time, another drama was unfolding across town. Sally Spectra had finally reached her breaking point. After years of investing her heart and soul into her relationship with Adam Newman, she had been blindsided by his betrayal. She had given him everything: her love, her youth, her dreams of a future together. She had even entertained the idea of marriage and starting a family with him. But all those dreams had come crashing down when she discovered the truth about Adam's infidelity. Pain of Adam's betrayal cut deep, but as Sally stormed out of his house, she also felt a surge of clarity. Yes, she had been foolish to trust him, believe that he could be the man she wanted him to be. But in that moment of pain, she also realized that she was lucky. Lucky to have seen Adam's true nature before it was too late, for she had tied her future to his in a way that she could never escape. With her decision made, Sally didn't look back. She knew exactly where she was going: Billy Abbott. Their relationship had started in the shadows, a clandestine affair that neither had been willing to fully acknowledge. Now, with her heart broken and her future uncertain, Sally was ready to embrace the relationship for what it was. She and Billy had decided to go public, face the world together, and they weren't afraid of what anyone might think. But as Sally moved in with Billy, there was one loose end that hadn't been tied up: Billy's relationship with Chelsea Lawson. Billy, in his typical impulsive fashion, had jumped headfirst into his relationship with Sally, without formally ending things with Chelsea. It was a reckless move, one that could easily blow up in his face. Billy knew he needed to confront Chelsea, tell her the truth about his feelings for Sally. But as he hesitated, caught between his old life and his new one, couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking a tightrope. One wrong move, one misstep, and everything could come crashing down. For Sally, the future was uncertain. For the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of freedom. She was done being a victim, done letting others dictate her happiness. She had made a choice to move on, to start fresh. Billy. But whether their relationship would survive the chaos that seemed to follow them both was a question that neither of them could answer. As Sharon battled her demons, Lucy struggled with guilt, and Sally embarked on a new chapter of her life. The residents of Genoa City found themselves entangled in a web of emotions, secrets, and betrayals. The road ahead was fraught with challenges. None of them knew exactly where it would lead. But one thing was certain. Life in Genoa City was anything but predictable. The tension in the air was palpable as Claire and Summer faced off, their tempers flaring in the latest battle over Harrison. The two women had never seen eye to eye, but the stakes had never been higher. Harrison, the young boy who had become the center of their world, was the unwitting subject of their power struggle. Neither woman was willing to back down. Claire, her voice tinged with frustration, made her case clear. I care about Harrison, Summer. I've been there for him when things were tough, and all I want is to be part of his life. He needs stability, people who care about him, and I can offer that. But Summer, ever the protective mother, wasn't about to let Claire's plea sway her. Harrison is my son, she replied, her tone icy and firm. And as his mother, I have the right to decide who gets to be around him. I've made it clear to Kyle that Harrison's well-being comes first, and that means limiting your involvement in his life. The words hit Claire hard, but she wasn't ready to back down just yet. You can't just cut me out, Summer. Harrison needs all the love and support he can get, especially now. Summer's eyes narrowed as she leaned in, her voice low and full of intent. It's not just about Harrison, Claire. You need to understand that your presence is creating tension, and that's not something I'm willing to tolerate. If you really care about Harrison, you'll respect the boundaries I'm setting. And Kyle, he needs to think carefully about who he wants in his life. The implied threat was clear. Summer was not only challenging Claire's relationship with Harrison, but also her connection to Kyle. It was a line in the sand, one that left Claire feeling cornered and powerless. She had always known that Summer would fight fiercely for her son, but this was different. This was a declaration of war, and Claire knew that the outcome could change everything. Kyle, caught in the middle of this escalating conflict, found himself in an impossible situation. He cared deeply for Harrison, but he also valued Claire's presence in their lives. Yet, couldn't ignore the demands of Summer, the mother of his child. Summer's ultimatum left him with little choice. To keep the peace and ensure Harrison's well-being, he knew what he had to do, even if it meant making a decision he wasn't entirely comfortable with. With a heavy heart, Kyle informed Claire of his decision. He approached her with a mixture of regret and resignation. Claire, this isn't easy for me, he began, his voice soft but strained. You've been such a big part of Harrison's life, and I know how much he means to you. But Summer has made it clear that she wants to limit your time with him. I've decided that it's best if we let you go as Harrison's nanny. Claire's face fell, pain of his words cutting deep. Kyle, you know I would never do anything to harm Harrison. This isn't fair, and you know it. I know, Claire, Kyle responded, his own emotions close to the surface. But I have to put Harrison first. Summer and we have to do what we think is best for him. It doesn't mean you don't care or that you're not important. It's just complicated. Claire looked into his eyes, searching for any sign that he might reconsider, but she saw only the weight of his decision. So that's it then? I'm just out of his life? Kyle sighed, running a hand through his hair, clearly torn. I wish it didn't have to be this way, but Harrison needs stability. This is what Summer and I think is best. I'm sorry, Claire.